Alright everybody, let's see what I did over a couple weekends ago, for better or for worse. That being a callback to my first video on the 91 F-250. Here we have a 1979 Ford F-350 Custom, which is base model. I don't know why base model was always just custom, but I don't know, ask somebody who designed these things, I guess. All the birds fly away because of how loud the door thing is. Anyways, yes, like I said, a 1979 Ford F-350. It's got the original RCA brand OEM AM only radio, which the light turns on, but it doesn't, you can't hear anything out of it. But I think it's because the speaker, I don't know if you can see that, but the speaker is just totally roached in this thing. Of course, we have our climate controls. This physically moves a defroster vent thing, obviously. There's that. This is just a common standard Ford Motor Company climate control setup that was used in the 60s and 70s. Maybe the 80s, I don't know. But high output heater, yes. We've got a 4-speed. Grind it till you find it, right? Let's try that again. A 4-speed, there we go. Manual, no overdrive fifth. It's not a ZF5 like the 91. But that's all right. Under the hood, we have a Ford 300, which is the straight six that they made from 1941 until 1996. Relatively unchanged, too. I think it started as a flathead, and then they changed it to an overhead in, I think, the late 40s or early 50s. But since then, it's been identical. So I could put a motor from, I guess, as early as 1941 under the hood here, and it wouldn't change a thing. Performance-wise, I think, I don't know. I might just be talking out of my butt. Up here, very dirty sun visor. Both come down, and then you can pop them up and swing them out. No mirror in the middle, but I don't think that was a thing on these. Cracking vinyl dashboard here. Who needs an airbag when you can just slam your head against this thing? That'll work. Sig lighter. Did have an add-on voltmeter, but neither one of those are actually connected, so yeah. Down here is our choke for the carburetor. Now, interestingly enough, this actually has a 1967 Chevy carburetor in it. I don't know why, but you know what? Whatever floats your wagon, I guess. Or your F-350. In here, little glove box, just a cardboard falling apart thing. I'd rather not dox myself by showing my registration slips, but anyways, here's the manual. 79 F100 through 350 owner's guide. They're just all in the book here. So that's nice to have. I love these old manuals where they just look like sports almanacs. Our upholstery is actually in brilliant condition. It's bright, it's soft, it's not cracking. We have a mat down here, which is supposed to go up top, but I think I'm going to keep the mat in because, I mean, I just want to try to protect it, I guess. I don't mind the mat, but whatever. I think it's a little rough on the yeah, it is a little rough on the driver's side, but I mean, look at that. That's 45-year-old pleather. That's pretty impressive. This truck was designed in, I think, either 1967 or 68. So this is all kind of 60s technology throughout here. Notice how where there's supposed to be a vent, because this is the custom edition base model, there's just one of those old school like Ford Shield logos. Here's our light controller, wiper washer controller, which is just a wire nut. Blinkers. There's this thing down here, the steering column thing. That was sitting on the floor when I got this. So, I mean, Chesterton's fence, I guess. It was there for a reason. There we go, I took it off. In typical Ford fashion, there's older parts in here that says 1978 on it. And this truck was built June of '79. Smoker window. It's a really hard to press button. There we go. Windows all work, which is something that the 91 doesn't even do. Only the smoker window's open on that one. Let's take a look under the hood. Oh yeah, there's this thing down here. And I think that's a reverse light and beeper controller, because that doesn't turn on automatically, because of course it doesn't. And another beautiful condition parking brake. Alright, now let's get under the hood. And I kind of like this old paint job here. It used to have that kind of that custom hot roddy swirly design on it. The hood's pretty sun-baked, but it's not rust. It's just the primer and the top coat coming off. All of our lights down to even the side markers, and those up there, those work perfectly. Our antenna is a little bent. Murphy, USA, I think that was some sort of old service station. This is originally an Indiana truck, then it moved to, well, Virginia, Minnesota. And then after that, it ended up here in northwestern Wisconsin. We got this toolbox over here, which doesn't have anything in it except for power steering fluid. I should mention that this engine had a valve job over the spring. So that's a good thing. It's got this flatbed kind of on it. It has just standard trailer lights. There's our reverse light and our beeper. The beeper is actually made in China, so that's obviously an add-on. But yeah, that's just standard trailer lights. I don't imagine these are probably 15 years old. The right one doesn't work, but that's because this can't reach the plug wires over there. So I have a solution for that. I'm just going to alligator clip it until I can get this home, and then I can rewire that. That shouldn't take too long. Up here in the bed is just a bunch of random wood. Before I drive that, I'm going to try to get rid of all that wood out of here, because I don't want that to end up on the highway. Wouldn't be too good. Oh, I should mention that these lights along the bed do not work, and a lot of them are actually kind of smashed in. It's got these ratchet things, and our frame is actually not bad at all. It's got dirt on it. That's what that is. That's not rust. That's just dirt. It's actually in really good condition. Here's our gasolina. And up here we have automatic transmission fluid. That's always a good sign. If it was manual transmission fluid, I would think that it was just new fluid, but since it's automatic transmission fluid, I wonder if an engine, whether it be this one or the last one, and I'll get to that point, seized. That's right, this is the era where you don't even have to go inside to pop the hood. It's just a lever like out of an old fridge. But here we have the straight six with a Chevy carb on it. We've got a replacement spark box from Napa. And this, if you look up here, you can see that this was originally a 6.6 liter 400 SID, cubic inch diameter, I believe. But this engine is a 1979, so it's the same year as the truck. It's just a different kind of engine, and that's what's kind of going on here. It had a replacement radiator, which is bracketed on because it doesn't reach all the way across. This is all stuff from this spring. And our radiator is actually pretty good. I drove this 100 miles home in the ice and the snow, and it made it just fine, so we're good there. Brakes are a little spongy, but I can probably top off our braking fluid there when I get into town. They work just fine, but it's not ideal. There's our oil filter down there. I have no clue what the oil is like on this, but since it had a valve job, I'm guessing it's all right. We have another little fuel filter right here that goes into the carb. We also have a new starter down there, and somebody's marking right side. That's always a good sign. There's our alternator, our V-belts to our fan. There's our power steering pump. Obviously no AC pump because this doesn't have AC. Have a replacement Napa starter solenoid. We have a battery from August of 22. Now that died and I had to take it home and charge it on a battery charger. Hopefully it's still good, but it hasn't gotten bitter cold since I put it in here. Last couple weeks it's been like negative 10s Fahrenheit, by the way. And I mean, everything looks pretty darn good under here. Just like the frame. Again, all the birds fly away. Check out this right here. Bumper. I'm sorry, but if I hit you, I'm winning with a bumper like that. And if you hit me from the back, I think I'm still winning, looking at this back of the bed right here. Got some aftermarket mud flaps. This was used as a log hauler. So that's good. These tires here were new when they were put on the truck, but they came from a scrapyard. They actually came, and I don't know if this is this is necessarily a good thing, but they actually came from a wrecked ambulance, an ambulance that got in a car wreck. All the tires are totally fine, but unfortunately they are road tires, and we are a little stuck right now, even though it doesn't look like it would be that hard to get out. Now, I don't know if we're stuck right now, but last time I tried, when there was admittedly a lot more snow, we were totally stuck. It would climb up a little bit, and then it would slide back down and start spinning freely. Now, I have a way to try to solve that. That being some paracord. I have 4 bundles of paracord, including this stuff up here, which is 40 feet. So I'm going to try to make some rudimentary snow chains out of this, and hopefully it'll hold, but if it snaps, it's not any big deal. I also have tape. I couldn't find electrical tape while I was leaving, but masking tape will have to do for the wiring. Now this vehicle was last registered, or it last expired in December of 2016, the plate's on it. And so I got it updated 2024, December 2024. Let's take a little look at what might be in the bed up here. I'm going to have to replace a lot of these boards since you can kind of see the floor through them. And this is going to be a genuine work vehicle, but I'm still going to take good care of it. Don't worry about that. Our roof is pretty sun-baked as well, but no, again, no holes. There's a rope there. We'll save that for trying to get unstuck. We'll use that as another snow chain. It's a bit of a thicker one too, that'll be nice. We've got another good sign, a radiator hose, a battery clip, and a brake or fuel line, I think. I don't know. Oh, that's where my pliers and vice grips went. I don't like this here, how water is pooling up there. That's not ideal. Maybe I should drill some drain holes in this. Other than that, just some pieces of wood, some plywood down there. So yeah, maybe I should try to see if we can get out here and then we can take it for a spin. So one little quirk about this is that the key is stuck in the ignition. I can't take it out. So without further ado, I guess. Hear the battery draining. All right, I got it just fired up. Got a lot of choke on it, but she's good. Of course, this being a carbureted engine, you kind of got to let it warm up for a second before you can actually use it. So I'm going to go move my car out of the driveway and see if we can get this thing out of here. Well, that's a lot of smoke coming from something. Oh, it's just water coming off of the exhaust. Smokes a little bit of water in the exhaust. Oh well. Well, everybody, we got some good news there. I finally got out. Isn't that nice? I also gave it a little 15-minute oil change. Dumped 6 quarts of Shell Rotella down there. I believe that's how much the capacity is on this engine, but it's 6 quarts of whatever is definitely more than what was down there. So I'm glad that I did that. I knew that it needed it, which is why it was so painful to just gun it up this hill. It probably took me 30 minutes. Poor clutch. And I put these stoppers here because this is where I want the front wheels to stop when I park it again. I would have parked here before, but since there's no ABS or anything like that, when I hit the brakes, they locked up and it just slid. But it looks like a drag strip now, but that's okay. It's not hurting anything. So yeah, that's where we're at now. Now I know that a lot of you probably know this, but Shell Rotella, you may be thinking, well, that's a diesel engine oil. Why are you putting that in a gas engine? Well, Shell Rotella is very good for these old engines. So, because they have a lot more minerals and different things in them, like a lot of zinc, I believe, is what's in here. So, if you have an older engine, Shell Rotella is a good choice. Or any of the other diesel engine oils, I think. Mobil makes one. I'm sure they all make one. Valvoline, whoever. This is just what they had at the store. So, I do have an oil filter, but it's at home. So, we're going to have to change that another time. Now, luckily, you don't have to, change the oil when you do the oil filter. You can do the oil filter on its own if the engine is sitting, or has been sitting. Now, luckily, this has. Another thing that I want to shoot out there as a very good thing is that all these gaskets are brand new. Look at that. There's a cork hanging out of that one. There's some sheet metal hanging out of that one. I feel bad for this engine for what I just put it through getting up this hill, but it had to be done. And it's done now, which means that we can drive it. So anyways, without further ado, let's take it on the road. On a side note, this is my oil pan thing here. It's got this really coarse filter. There's my thumbnail. And if you have to filter out chunks that big, then you have bigger problems than needing an oil change. Okay. Here we go. I think I've got everything collected. Just got to take care of a few things, and then we're good to go. Let the oil get up to pressure. The only reason why it started so easy is because it was already warm. If we had to crank on it until that oil pressure got up, we'd be here for a long time. It would probably die right here, which would suck. All right, everybody, we're gonna try to film all right. There we go. 40, 45. Come on, you can do 50. 50. miles an hour. I'll mention that I did fix the taillight issue. I have it jump wired right now, so that's good. So without further ado, let's drive it into town. I should also mention, if I didn't mention before, this has a 1965 Chevy Carb on it for some reason. Whatever works, I guess. And it's got a replacement gas tank that's only about probably 45% of what the original was. I don't know if this had dual tanks and it just sucked from both or what, because, you know, I fill the tank up to the top. This tank's got no holes in it. It doesn't even have surface rust on it. And it only goes about halfway. And with that, I've successfully driven home on the old girl. Thank you for watching. More to come next time.